what our work has already been reported in this particular aspect. Either we propose a research proposal or we propose a synopsis for PhD. The first and foremost thing after choosing the topic, selection of the topic, the important point is what all has been reported from this particular topic and how to gather that information and how to sequentially arrange that information based on the year or on the topic or on the subtitles of the topic is constitutes the entire area of literature review or review of literature. So review of literature is nothing but finding out the information from the literature of a particular topic. Once if you choose a particular topic, we need to find out by consulting the literature what all has been reported from this particular aspect. Of course, nowadays, because of this ICT tools, it has become an easy to find out all these important information with respect to a particular topic. But during our days, at least 10-15 years back from now, it was a daunting task to find out the literature review. What we used to do, we used to consult the current contents during those days. And we used to write index cards during those days. All those things are now not holds good because of the advancement in ICT tools. We used to write index cards by consulting the current contents. Then we used to arrange those index cards sequentially, which will be helpful for reviewing our research topic in the form of review of literature. And now, because of this advancement of ICT, it is easy for nowadays research scholars to find out what all has been reported from a particular topic. So if I say all these things to the current batch of students of PhD, they will definitely laugh at me because they never have got an idea of writing the index cards. We used to write index cards by consulting current contents. And sometimes if I do not get the full research article from the current contents because it is only a list of the title, the authors and the journal, page, volume, year, etc. And if I wanted to have a full research article, we used to write postcards to that particular address and they used to promptly send the research articles in hard copies. No soft copies during those days. Only hard copies used to get from the post and we used to arrange the review articles or research articles pertaining to our topic sequentially and also by subtitle wise or by aspect wise. We used to get these review of articles or review of literature. So as I said, if at all, if you want to propose any of the proposal, either for funding agencies or for the synopsis in the PhD aspect, it is at most important to identify, to collect what all has been reported from this particular aspect. In that, my first slide, of course, this is the slide which is our the university head office. I am from this particular university where our all administrators are there in this building. This is called as Crawford Hall. So if you come to review of literature, as I said, which is the collection of all the research articles which are published in that particular area, either in the form of review articles or in the form of research articles or in the form of short communications. The sources of these research may be from different sources, either from the scientific journals or from the periodicals or from the magazines or from the newspapers or from the conference proceedings or from the meetings, and wherever whatever the source may be which we are collecting the research articles, it is our duty to acknowledge without fail. And I will be telling that how to cite a reference, how to quote a reference at the end of my talk. And before that, we need to know what do you mean by review of literature or literature review. So as I said, research is a form of disciplined inquiry because it is research. It is already searched. Once again, you need to touch upon. It is research, a form of disciplined study or disciplined inquiry that involves studying something in a planned manner. So you need to orderly carrying out the research aspect. In a planned manner, you need to identify the topic, and in a planned manner, we need to conduct the experiments in that particular area of research. And after conducting the experiments in that particular area, we need to report those results of the experiments, either it is positive results or it is negative results, results or the results. We need to report it so that the other inquirers can potentially replicate or can potentially repeat those experiments in the process if they want to choose in the area, in the same area of the research. So, review of literature, review of related literature. Review is just nothing but look again. You need to see again what has been reported in this particular area of my chosen topic. And literature is report of what others have done and what others have reported. And related is not identical but collateral to our study, which is exactly related to our study. This is review of related literature. As I said, review is look again. You need to see again the consult, the literature, what has been reported in my area of research or in my topic of interest. And literature is report of what others have already been reported. If they want to report, they need to conduct the experiments. They need to repeat a couple of times based on the statistical analysis. They need to report those literature in the form of research article or in the form of review article or in the form of short communications or meetings or whatever or conference proceedings. All these are literature, and related is not identical but collateral to our study. So as I said, what is research? Research is one to see what others have seen, but you need to think what others have not thought of. So whatever the topic we are choosing, based on the topic, results may be already reported, but you need to interpret the results in such a fashion that so far that interpretation might not have been reported. So research is one to see what others have seen, but to think what others have not thought of. That is according to one of the definitions of the research. And features of a research paper. If you want to publish, because you need to consult the literature based on the research paper. So what are the features of those research papers which we are consulting for proposing our topic or for conducting our experiments? So features of a research paper includes a short summary. Summary will be there in the beginning, and you need to introduce the subject by giving pertinent introduction aspects or pertinent introductory aspects. You need to hypothesize some things and you need to put some of the aims in that particular area. Then obviously based on your question or based on your hypothesis, you need to consult the published literature. So whatever literature is being published, you need to consult them, and minimum of 10-20 years of literature you need to consult. So if you can consult that amount of literature and if you can arrange those literature papers, it will be easy for any one of the researcher to go through the research papers. And once if you go through those research papers, you need to arrange those research papers in an orderly fashion, in a sequential manner. Then once if you understand whatever research results has been reported from the papers, it will be easy for any one of us, either a beginner or any of the scientists or professor in the university, to propose a topic of research, either for funding agencies or for PhD aspect in the form of synopsis or project proposal. And presentation of the findings you need to understand, analysis and interpretation of those research which are being published from the research paper you need to understand. And of course, you can always find the limitations of that paper and also recommendations. And based on their experiments, one can easily conclude some of the points based on the experiments which they have conducted. And again, for that particular research article or research paper, you need to provide, it is a moral duty of any of the researcher to provide whatever research sources they have consulted in the form of research articles or review articles, in the form of reference. So references, it is the moral duty of any of the researchers to cite the reference, appropriate reference, and to list the reference, to cite the reference in the body of the research article and to list the reference at the end of the research paper. So review of literature is one of the most important steps in the research process. As I said, this is the most important step. Without consulting any of the literature, one cannot easily initiate any of the research aspect. And of course, now in the competitive world, it is the most important to consult what all has been reported. Uh, about centuries back, people used to conduct the research on its own. So without consulting any of the literature background, because literature background was also not there. But now, because of the advancement in the science and technology or any of the fields, it need not be only science and technology, even in the humanities. So you will be finding varieties of types of research sources, all journals, all magazines, all newspapers, all meeting proceedings, any of these research articles you can consult. So, review of the literature is one of the most important steps in the process of research. So, it is an account of what is already known about a particular phenomenon. So, review of literature is an account of what is already known about a particular topic, particular area, or a particular aspect of research. As I said, if you want to propose a research proposal to any of the funding agencies, or if you want to write a research paper, or if you want to propose a PhD topic, it is important at most step, which is an account of what is already known about a particular phenomenon. So if you are choosing any topic in biotechnology or any topic in commerce, for example, or any topic in the economics, or any topic in the history, or any topic in the computer science, or whatever the topic may be, any one of us who is involved in that particular research, it is important step is review of literature. So review of literature is one of the most important steps in the research process. Without this review of literature, you can never think of proposing a topic, because what is already known is not known. What is already researched is also not known. Only by consulting the research articles or review of literature, one can know. The review of literature is most important step in the research process, and it is an account of what is already known about a particular phenomenon of the research topic. So the main purpose of the literature review is to convey to the readers about the work already done. As I said, if you choose any of the topic in one particular area, either physics, for example, or chemistry, or botany, or zoology, or biotechnology, or economics, history, commerce, or whatever computer science, it is utmost important to convey what is already been reported. Once if you choose the topic of your interest, the topic of your proposal, the topic of your synopsis, once if you choose, the main purpose of the literature review is to convey to the readers about the work which is already been done, and knowledge, and also what all ideas have been reported, what all experimental procedures have been reported in my area of research. So by consulting the literature, you will be giving many of the aspects. So first and foremost thing is what has been reported in this particular area, and based on what protocols they have done the experiments, and how they have interpreted the results, and what are their conclusions. All these things you will get by consulting the literature review. Although literature review is a laborious task, but it is essential if the research process is to be successful. So without proper review of literature, you can never expect interpretation of your data. By consulting the literature, by reading enormous number of research articles, it will be easy for any of the researcher to plan the experiments, to interpret the results, to draw the conclusions. So if you want to draw the conclusions precisely, or your novelty of the research, only by consulting the review of literature, it will be easy for drawing the conclusions. It will be easy for conducting the experiments. It will be easy to interpret the results. For all these steps in the process of research, literature review is at most important. So without consulting the literature review, you can never think of successful research. So literature review is although it is a laborious task, because you may find a number of research articles published in the literature, either in the form of review articles, or in the form of research papers, or in the form of short communications, or meeting proceedings, or magazine articles, or newspaper articles. You may find a number of research articles in that particular area, but although it feels like it's a laborious task, review of literature is a laborious task, but it is essential if the research process is to be successful. So without proper review of literature, you can never think of a research process to be successful. So these are the descriptions of previous knowledge. As I said, review of literature is nothing but the descriptions of the previous knowledge in the area of history. So descriptions in the sense, if I say from the biotechnological point of view, I will find out how these people have conducted the experiments, how these people have planned the experiments, what are the results they have obtained from their experiments, how they have drawn the conclusions, how they have explained the results, how they have discussed the results with the available literature. So research, of course, cannot be done in a vacuum because you may find n number of research articles in almost all sources of literature. So literature sources may be primary sources, secondary sources. I'll touch upon this point in the later part of my lecture. So you may find n number of research sources in the form of research article, in the form of scientific journals, in the form of magazines, in the form of review articles, in the form of short communications, in the form of conference proceedings or meeting proceedings, or you may find n number of sources. There is no dearth of information of late, because in those days, about 20-25 years back, we used to struggle a lot to find out the literature. As I said, we used to write the index cards by consulting the current contents, and then used to write request letters to those people to get the full papers of research articles. But now, because of this advancement of ICT in the field of computers, in the field of internet, in the field of ICT totally, it will be easy for any of the researcher or a scientist or a professor, researcher to propose the synopsis for PhD topic, scientist or a professor to propose the research project for a funding agency. So research is not done in a vacuum, and always by consulting the literature, you need to think of by proposing the synopsis or by proposing the research paper or by proposing research project to the funding agency, etc. So to achieve this, we need to review the literature related to the problem to know what others have been done or what others have been innovated or discovered. So what is the status of? So the national status, actually, while writing the grant applications, there will be a separate columns. What is the national status of this aspect? What is the international status of this aspect? That means what all has been reported from our nation with respect to this particular proposal or this particular synopsis or this particular research aspect, because you are submitting the research grant application. And what is the international status of this particular application, this particular aspect? So you need to clearly spell out, you need to clearly report what is the current status within our country of this particular topic, what is the international status of this particular topic. So both at the national level and also at the international level, you need to know what is the current status of our research proposal or grant application or synopsis for a PhD student. So what is literature review? A literature review is an examination, not the dumping of information. So literature review is an examination, and it is not merely the information dump of the research that has been conducted in a particular field of study. Okay, so if you choose a topic, it is utmost duty of an individual, either a research beginner or a scientist or a professor, to know what is the current status of this particular research in the country or also at the international level. The selection or choosing of available documents, both published and unpublished. You may be having many of the research articles which are published in the international journals, or you may be having any of the research article which is unpublished, which is our personal communication on the topic which contain the information, idea, data, and evidence. And also, most importantly, one can discuss the individual results with the available literature. So while choosing, we need to carefully choose the research articles which are properly reviewed, and the selection is written to fulfill certain aims or express certain views on the nature of the topic. As I said, the first and foremost thing after choosing the topic of research, after choosing the topic of a proposal or a synopsis, the current status of that particular topic you need to assess carefully. Current status includes the status in the national level and also the status at the international level and how it is to be investigated. So what are the modalities of conducting the experiments? What are the ways and means of conducting the experiments and interpreting the results and the effective evaluation of these documents in relation to the research being proposed? So if you propose any of the research, the first and foremost thing is after choosing the topic, you need to consult the literature and you need to obtain an idea. By consulting this literature, you will get a huge amount of idea, like how you can plan the experiments, how you can execute the experiments, how you can conduct the experiments, what are the types of chemicals and reagents which can be used, and how they have analyzed the data, how they have interpreted the data, how they have collected the data. All these things you will get only by consulting the literature. If you thoroughly read any of the research articles, if you thoroughly get an idea of what all has been reported with respect to my topic of research, then it will be almost 50% of the research aspect is done. So by consulting the available literature, by pulling all the available literature and by carefully reading this available literature, you will get what is the gap in the literature. So what is the gap in the literature and how I can fill this gap in the literature by planning the experiments to fulfill this gap in the literature. So you will find the gap in the literature only when you read and analyze the available literature. So without reading and analyzing the literature, you will never find the gap in the literature. So if you find the gap in the literature, you can plan, you can design the experiments to fulfill that gap or to fill that gap. So if you can read the information or by conducting the experiments without reading any of the literature, you may many times overlapping of the results will be there. Repetition of the experiments will be there. So this, to avoid overlapping or repetition of the experiments, reading the literature is really playing a major role. By reading the literature, by analyzing the literature, you will carefully find out the gap, what is the gap in the literature, and how I can plan the experiments, how I can design the experiments to fulfill this gap in the literature. So if you fulfill this gap in the literature, it will be a complete story. It will be a complete story so that the advancement of the things will be there. If you want to get the advancement of the things, you need to read the literature, what is available, what is the current status of this particular topic, what is the current status of, what is the national status, what is the current status within the country, what is the current status of international status. So both this national status of the topic and international status of the topic will be useful by designing, by executing the experiments. So as I said, so if you read thoroughly the available literature, it will be easy for designing the experiments. It will be easy for analyzing the experiments. It will be easy for interpreting the results. So if you conduct or if you plan, if you execute any of the research experiments without a proper consultation of the literature, many times you will be just repeating what is already reported, what is already being conducted, what is already being discovered. So to avoid this repetition and overlapping of the research experiments, so this review of literature is very, very useful. So review of literature is an annotated bibliography. Bibliography is the list of what all has been reported in my aspect or what are the research articles which I have used for my studies. What are the research articles which I have used for my PhD thesis or my project proposal or my synopsis. A list of unrelated sources, which is not exactly overlapping. A list of literature review is not an annotated bibliography. Literature review is not a list of unrelated sources. And literature review is not an argument about the importance of your research. So review of literature is not an annotated bibliography. A list of review of literature is not a list of unrelated sources. And review of literature is not an argument about the importance of your topic. Though it is important as far as the application point of view is concerned, As far as utility point of view is concerned, it is the utmost duty of a researcher to consult the literature and to review the literature. So, a literature review is not an annotated list of bibliography. Literature review is not a list of unrelated sources, and literature review is not an argument about the importance of your topic or research. So what is the meaning of literature review? A literature review uses as its database reports of primary or the original scholarship. Primary is the person, the individual who has been working, who has been reported, that is the original scholarship, and does not report new primary scholarship itself. And the primary reports used in the literature may be verbal, but in the vast majority of the cases, reports are written document. Because if you want to analyze the research article, before accepting for publication of that particular data into a form of research article, it might have been reviewed by 2 experts, 3 experts, or 4 experts. So based on the journal policies, sometimes it might not be reviewed, but mostly scientific reviews, scientific journals will be having the reviewed research articles, the referred research articles, referred by 2 experts, or reviewed by 2 experts, or reviewed by 3 experts, or reviewed by 4 experts. Only based on the consolidated reports of all these 3 or 4 or 2 experts, the editor will decide the research paper can be accepted for publication, or research paper cannot be accepted for publication in a particular research journal. So the type of scholarship may be empirical, or theoretical, or critical, or analytical, or methodological in nature. So there may be different types of the reports of the research articles. So literature review seeks to describe, summarize, evaluate, clarify, and integrate the content of primary reports. So as I said, primary reports or the primary scholarship is one who is related to a particular person who has been conducting the experiments, who has been reported the results, who has been analyzed the results, who has been discussed his results with the available literature. This is about the meaning of review of literature. So literature review is defined variously by different authors. This is just to show you. One of the researcher, Prof.Dr. and Burnett of University of New South Wales, Australia, defined a literature review as an examination of the research that has been conducted in a particular field of study. Okay, so particular field of study includes either maybe science and technology, or humanities, or business and management, or engineering, or medicine, or whatever. That is the examination of the research that has been conducted in a particular field of study. And the other person, Hart, in the year 2003, agrees with this notion, but expanded its definition to the selection of available documents and the effective evaluation of these documents in relation to the research being proposed. So it is the examination of research that has been conducted in a particular field of study, and to expand, to continue the selection of the available documents on this particular topic, and effective evaluation of these documents. Simply by mere collection of these research articles is not going to fulfill the purpose. Once if you collect a number of research articles, once if you collect a innumerable number of research articles, it is utmost duty of a researcher to effective evaluate of these documents in relation to the research being proposed, in relation to the synopsis being proposed, in relation to the proposal being proposed to the funding agency, grant application. So once if you choose the grant application, once if you choose the research area for grant application, it is utmost duty to evaluate the collected documents for their relation to what is the topic which is being proposed, what is the research topic which is being proposed for PhD in the form of synopsis. So a literature review is an account of what has been already established, or what has been already published in a particular research topic by accredited scholars and the researchers. So many times we may find the research articles which are just published without reviewing, without refereed. So by choosing those journals, one should be very careful whether this journal is reviewed by experts or this journal is not reviewed by experts. So now you may find many number of research journals. Some of them say they are reviewing and accepting the manuscripts, but many a times they don't follow. But there are some journals which are very strict. They review any of the research article which is being submitted to that particular research journal for the favor of publication, and that they will decide only after collecting the reviews either from 2 or 3 or 4 reviewers. So mainly based on the reports of reviewers. Reviewers they chose by choosing the experts in the field of research. And review of literature or literature review is a comprehensive, in-depth, systematic scanning and critical review of selected literature. So most of the times our students, or if I say my PhD student to consult the literature, he or she may be consulting some few articles and they are coming back, I have consulted all the available literature, and they may propose the research topic. Sometimes that type of research topic may be overlapping with is already being published, or repetition of what is already being published. So to avoid all these things, a comprehensive, in-depth systematic scanning is essential. And as I said earlier, it is not merely collection of the data and pooling all the information on the table without going through what is being reported, without analyzing what results are reported. So it is also in addition to comprehensive in-depth systematic scanning, in addition to this, one should be critically review the selected literature to find out how it can be useful to my area of research. So if you want to choose any of these area of research, it is the utmost duty of a researcher to consult all the available literature, a comprehensive, in-depth, systematic scanning, and it is not merely collection and dumping of research papers. It is also essential to critically review, critically read, critically review of selected literature to find out how it can be useful to the present topic. A literature review is an evaluative report of information found in the literature related to what is the area which is being chosen. So the review describes, the review summarizes, the review evaluates, the review clarifies based on the topic whether this particular topic of research is essential. Based on the literature, this particular topic of research is inapplicable or is useful to continue or not to continue. So it gives a theoretical base for the research and helps to determine the nature of the research. So you may find n number of applications by thoroughly consulting the literature. It gives a theoretical base of research and helps to determine the nature of the research. A literature review is a body of the text that aims to review, that aims to the collection of all the literature, the critical points of knowledge on a particular topic of research. A literature review is an account of what has been already published, what has been already established on a particular research topic by accredited scholars or by accredited researchers. So this is important to propose a PhD topic in the forum of synopsis. This is important to build a grant application, research grant application to any of the funding agencies, either national funding agency or international funding agency. So the topmost priority should be given while proposing the research topic for PhD or while proposing the research topic for grant application or research project. The topmost priority should be given to review of literature. So if you review the proper literature, which is just like a base of the building, if you want to construct the base, if you want to construct a building of either 2-story building, 3-story or multi-story building, which is very important to have a proper base. So this proper base in the research topic is review of literature. So if you want to have a proper research project, a proper research topic, the amount of base just for a bidding is the review of literature for a research topic. So what is the importance of this research review? Literature reviews provide a handy guide to a particular topic. As I said earlier, if you know the proper literature, it will be easy. Like if you want to know the proper review, so you need to analyze, you need to collect the literature, collect the research articles, and analyze them thoroughly. By reading, by analyzing these research which is already being reported, you will get an idea how they have conducted the experiments, how they have planned the experiments, how they have obtained the results, how they have interpreted the results, and how they have discussed the results with available literature. That is also important. So for professionals, reports that keep them up to date, reports that keep them up to date with what is current level of knowledge in the field. For scholars, the depth and the breadth of the topic you will get only by consulting the literature. So if you do not consult the literature, you will not be getting the depth and the breadth of the research topic. If you do not consult the literature, you will not be finding the depth and the breadth of the grant application for funding agency, either for PhD topic or for research paper. For any of these things in the field of research, the review of literature is playing a pivotal role. The credibility of the writers in their respective fields also you will get. Sometimes, simply they report some of the journals which accepts the paper without being reviewed. And if you consult such literature, you will be always getting false positives. That is just like false positives. And review of literature also provides a solid background for research study. So as I said, if you want to construct a multi-story building, you need to have a proper base for that building. Similarly, in the field of research, if you want to have a very good research, very good PhD topic, very good research grant application, the review of literature plays a strong base just for building. So without strong base, you can never imagine the durability of that particular building. So similarly, without consulting the proper literature, you will not find the proper interpretation of the research data, proper discussion of the research data with the available literature. So the purpose of a literature review is to convey to the reader and to the render previous knowledge and facts established on a topic and their strengths and the weaknesses. So for any of these topics, so if you want to construct a PhD topic or if you want to propose a research proposal, the strength and weakness of that proposal should be there. So normally, reviewer will analyze what is the strength of this synopsis, what is the strength of this research paper, what is the strength of this grant application, and what is the weakness of this PhD topic, what is the weakness of the research paper, what is the weakness of this grant application. Like that, the purpose of a literature review is to convey the render previous knowledge and facts established on a topic. Literature review allows the reader to be updated with the state of research in the field and any counterindications that may exist which challenge the findings of other research studies. So besides enhancing researchers' knowledge about the topic, writing a literature review helps to describe the relationship of each study to the other research studies, and you can always compare. It will identify new ways to interpret and shed light on any gaps in the previous literature, which I was already explained. Identify areas of prior scholarship to prevent duplication or overlapping of the effort. Point a way forward for further research. See what has and has not been investigated. As I said, if you consult all the available literature pertaining to your topic, if you read and if you analyze those research papers, you will get what is the gap, what has been investigated and what has not been investigated. So this what has not been investigated is gap in the literature. So obviously you can propose any of the topic, any of the synopsis, any of the grant application to fulfill this gap in the literature. So by consulting, by available literature, by consulting, by reviewing all the available literature pertaining to the topic, you will get an idea of what has been reported, what has been investigated, and what has not been investigated. Identify potential relationships between concepts and to identify researchable hypotheses. You may propose any of the hypotheses. Sometimes those hypotheses cannot be researchable, but sometimes if you consult the literature. Hello, hello, hello.
Sir, no problem, sir. You can continue.
Okay. Learn how others have been defined and measured the key concepts. Identify the data sources that other researchers have used. And by consulting the proper review of literature, you can develop how a research project is related to the work of others. It is not overlapping, which is not duplicating the other research. So purpose of review of literature is to attain a good knowledge of the field of inquiry, facts and the scholars, etc. Methodologies common in the field. What is the common in my proposal and already published literature? What is not common with my proposal and what is not there in the available literature? Proposed research is really needed, whether it is applicable for the common public or not, helps to narrow down the problem and generation of hypothesis and research questions or questions for further studies and commence a long-term study of interest. So what are the important functions of this review of literature? Review of literature brings clarity and focus to the research problem. So if you do proper review of literature, it brings clarity and it focuses to the research problem. And it serves as a source of research idea. And review of literature helps to determine the gaps, any gaps in the body of the research. And review of literature broadens the knowledge base in the research. And it provides theoretical background to the study because practically you need to conduct, then you can interpret the results. And the literature review process is once if you select a topic, you need to search and choose the literature pertaining to research topic. So that is the reason we always give an assignment to the research scholars or PhD beginners. You need to present a research article. You need to present a review article. So they need to consult all the literature which is available, which is pertaining to that particular topic of their interest, and then they need to read carefully and analyze carefully so that they will get an idea of how the experiments have been planned, how the experiments have been designed, and how they have draw the conclusions and how they have interpreted the results and how they have discussed the results with available literature. Analyze and interpret the results. Once if you collect enormous amount of literature, we need to analyze and interpret the literature, and then you need to write a review article. So once if you know this particular review of pertaining to your topic of research, then it will be easy for any one of us to propose or to design or to conduct experiments, to interpret the results, to draw the conclusions, and to discuss our results with available literature. So then, once if you have an idea of doing PhD or proposing a research topic, you need to know what are the sources of literature. There are some primary sources of literature. There are some secondary sources of literature. So what are those primary sources of literature? Literature review mostly relies on the primary sources of literature. That is, research reports which are the descriptions of studies written by researchers who have conducted the experiments. So the primary sources are the sources which are from actual researchers who has conducted that experiment, who has designed that experiment, and who has reported that experiment, and he has reported that particular research source. Those are the primary source of literature. A primary source is written by a person who developed the theory, who has conducted the research, or its description of an investigation written by that person who has conducted the experiments. And most of the primary sources are found in published literature. As I said, it is published literature. So before publishing, before accepting for publication, that particular authorities or editors or the editorial group might be sending you a research article for reviewing to the experts in the field, either 2 reviewers or 3 reviewers or 4 reviewers. So based on the reviewer's report, the editorial office or editor-in-chief will decide our data is acceptable for publication or which is not acceptable for publication. So after primary sources, what are the secondary sources? The secondary sources of research documents are descriptions of the studies prepared by someone other than the original researcher, other than original who has conducted the research. They are done by people other than the individuals who have developed the theory or conducted the research. So secondary sources of research may be used when primary sources are not available, or if the researchers want external opinions on an issue or a problem or even the results of their own research. These are the secondary sources of research. A primary source is a description of a research study that was written by original investigator who was or who are, if it is 1, 2 or something like that, who are to conduct those experiments. And it is written by a person or persons who developed the theory, who developed the hypothesis, who has conducted the research and interpreted the results. And if you take in historical research, a primary source is an eyewitness or a original document is the primary source. A secondary source is a summary or description of a research study that was written by someone other than the study investigator, other than the investigators group, or other than the original researcher. So literature review articles are always secondary sources because reviewer will be collecting all the available literature, then they will be analyzing, and by writing the review article, it will be serving as the secondary source of the information. Whereas research articles are the original research articles which are the primary source of the information. Review articles are the secondary source, whereas research articles, either short communication or full-length papers, are the primary source of information, whereas review articles are the secondary source of information. So what are the sources of literature to review? So as I said, nowadays the whatever you say to the research student, immediately he will open his laptop and find out googling the information from the internet sources or from the electronic database. There are some database in the electronic system. You can get the full CD-ROM or whatever, full pen drive, full of information, full of research articles in a particular area. So you need to choose the particular area by providing keywords. If you provide proper keywords, so those keywords, whatever research articles which contains those keywords will be collected and pooling in the form of database. Since it is electronic form, we call them as electronic database. And the journals, most of the journals. The journals, I always advise for the students, they should go for properly reviewed research articles. Reviewed journals like Elsevier, Springer, Taylor Francis, all these are the groups of publishing companies. They always receives the research articles and send it for reviewing. At least minimum of 2 reviewers will be reviewing our papers. Those are journals. Then the other sources could be textbooks in the form of already proven hypothesis, textbooks, or in the form of newspaper results, or in the form of magazines, or some government agencies meetings. So they may come out with the proceedings of the meeting from the government agencies, or from the private company, proceedings of the company meetings, or proceedings of the conferences, or sometimes the MPhil dissertations or PhD thesis itself serving as the source of information, source of literature review, and any other project reports. So these are all either internet or electronic database or journals or textbooks or newspaper results, newspaper reports or magazines, either from the government meeting proceedings or the private company meeting proceedings or the conference proceedings or the thesis and dissertations, serves as always source of literature to review of that particular research. So once if you collect all the information, it is of utmost important moral responsibility of any individual to properly cite the reference. Because while finding the literature, those literatures may be either single author publication or two authored, or three authored, or four, or five, or any number of authors should be there, or two author publications. Or these research articles or review articles either by single author, because it may vary for research reference citation when it is single author publication, when it is multi-author publication. Normally, we use the first author followed by et al. If it is more than three and above. If the source of the information is only two authors, invariably you need to put both the names, last parts of both the names. If the source of the information is single author, invariably we use the last part of the single author publication. Then authored books or edited books. Authored books is directly the author is the sole responsible for all chapters in the book, whereas editors is they in turn seek the contributions from the individual scientists to edit. Then the information source may be conference proceedings. So as I said, the source of the information could be single authored, the source of the information could be multi-authored, and the source of the information could be from the books or books in the form of authored books or edited books or even in the conference proceedings. So the citation of reference in the research article, either a PhD thesis or MPhil dissertation or review article, is almost all individual unique types of research citation will be there. One type, you should cite the research source in the body of the text, and also you should list the research source at the end in the form of bibliography. So we will take up how to cite when the source of the information is single authored in the body of the text. Say for example, if the source of the information is something like Singh et al. So normally in the body of the text we use the last part of the name of the author, last part of the name of the author. In the body of the text, we don't put any of the initials of the previous names. A single name may be consisting of two parts, three parts, or four parts. Normally, in the body of the text, in the body of the information, or in the body of the paper, or in the body of the thesis or dissertation, we use last part of the name followed by comma, followed by that publication year. Singh in the year 2020, if it is single author publication. And while listing the single author publication in the bibliographic part or at the end of the paper, we need to put last part first, followed by the abbreviation, the initials of the other parts, previous parts of the name, followed by the year when it was published, whether it is in the year 1920 or 1919 or 1918 or 2021, 2021, something like that. Then the title of the research paper we need to put, followed by source of the journal, from where it is published, from what particular journal. Say for example, crop protection, if it is in any of the life sciences field. Then immediately after that, you need to put the volume number of that particular publication. Then page numbers, starting page and the ending page. This is how you need to cite the reference in the body, and you need to list the reference at the end of the essay or end of the text. When the source of the information is two authored, say Singh and Singh is the two author. As usual, you need to use last part of both the names followed by comma, followed by year. For example, Singh and the Singh in the body of the text I am telling you, not at the end of the essay. In the body of the text, Singh and Singh in the year 2020. Sometimes the information maybe starts from according to Singh or according to Singh and Singh. When such is the case, you need to use after Singh and Singh within the parenthesis, within the comma, year. Sometimes once if you state the information, state the sentence, and to provide the proof of that sentence, you need to put both year and the author within the parenthesis. So Singh, comma 2020. Both of these things should be there within the parenthesis, within the brackets. So sometimes when you start the information as according to Singh, only within the parenthesis year, and according to Singh and Singh, then within the parenthesis year. This is how you need to cite the information source in the body of the text. But at the end of the essay, you need to do bibliographic list or literature cited, what all literature is being used for this preparation of this essay. Without fail, you need to list all those information sources. Then, as usual, sing, comma, initials of the previous parts, followed by and, followed by the second name, followed by initials of the other parts of the second name. Then year, sometimes based on the requirement of the journal, the year should be within the parenthesis. Sometimes it is not within the parenthesis, it is open. Then the title of the research paper, followed by name of the journal, volume number, page number. When the source of the information is from the two authors, this is how you need to cite in the text and you need to list in the end of the research essay. Then, if the source of the information is from multiple authors, more than two authors, then we need to use last part of the first name followed by et al. Et-al. Et al. Et al. Is once again the Latin term. When you the full form of et al. Is et alia. When you translate this Latin into English, it conveys the meaning of and co-workers. Singh et al. 2020, or according to Singh et al., then only year within the parenthesis. Wherever you use et al., invariably it should be in the italics form. This italics form is to indicate which is not from the English, which is from the original other than English language. So many times we use in vitro, in vivo, in toto, etc. All these things, e.g., for example, e.g., exemplary gratia, all these things are, when you write in the essay, wherever you write in vivo, in vitro, in toto, et al., e.g., exemplary gratia, all these things you should indicate they are not native to English by providing italics format to italicize them. So when the source of the information is from the single author, when the source of the information is from the two authors, and when the source of the information is more than two authors. Now, when the source of the information is from the book, authored book, then since it is one particular author or a group of authors who have written, who have contributed the entire book chapters, so no other book chapter contributors are there, is the authored book. So when you collect the information from the authored book, invariably you need to mention the name of the author, and if the information is from the different topics, so whatever the topics which you have collected the information, which you have taken the information, you need to provide the title of that particular chapter, followed by, after providing the title of the chapter, you need to put in, then in name of the book you should write, volume number you should write, then who is the publisher of that particular book you need to write, then year of publication you need to give, then invariably you need to give PP. PP is particular page. If you get the information, if you have collected the information from one particular page, you need to put PP. PP is particular page. Or you might have obtained the information from, say, 15 to 20. In such cases, just put P 15-20. That indicates pages 15 to 20. But if you have taken the information from only one page, then you need to put PP. PP is particular page of this particular book. Then if it is edited book, because say for example one book might be having 15 different chapters. All these 15 different chapters, 15 different groups of authors might have contributed. 15 different groups of authors might have contributed, and 2 or 3 people might have edited, either 1 or 2 or 3 people might have been edited that particular book. So how to cite and how to quote this particular information when you are taking from edited books. So as usual, whatever the chapters, individual chapters, contributors will be there. Those contributors' names should come first. Either it is single authored or two authored or 3 or 4 or whatever. So that name of the contributor you should write, then followed by the title of the chapter of that particular book you need to write. What is the title of the chapter? What is the title of the chapter which you have taken, either 5th chapter or 6th chapter or 8th chapter or 15th chapter or whatever. So what is the title of the chapter? Followed by, as usual, after full stop, you need to put in, then colon, name of the book you should write. name of the book. After completion of the name of the book, within the parenthesis, ED you should put if it is single editor, EDS if it is multiple editors. So editors you should write, all the editors names you should write, then close the bracket, then publishers. You should write IBH publications, Oxford publication, Elsevier publication, Springer publication, any of these publishers you should put, then volume number, then page number. As usual, if it is single page, PP, particular page you should write. If it is pages, n number of pages, only P you should write. P 15 to 20, or P 5 to 10, or P 5 to 6. And if you are taking the information from only one particular page, then you should put PP. It is particular page. Particular page is you are taking the information from only one page, not either 2 pages or 3 pages or 4 pages or whatever. Then invariably you need to list all the information in the form of bibliography or literature cited. Then conference proceedings. As usual, even if you are taking the information from any of the conference proceedings, you need to write the name of the author of a particular paper. The conference proceedings might be having 100 different papers, 200 different papers, 200 different abstracts sometimes, 200, 300 abstracts. Say you are taking one of the abstracts as the source of your information, then the author of that abstract you should write. Then title of that abstract, followed by in the proceedings of National Conference on Algal Biotechnology, or National Conference on Post-Pathogen Interactions, or National Conference on some bibliographic data, or historic Indian National History Science Congress, or something like that, whoever the organizers of that particular conference. Then you need to write conducted during Wednesday, say June 15 to 20, June 15 to 16, something like that, date and all, then where it has been conducted. All these things without fail you need to quote. Sometimes information will be there from the newspapers, from some of the magazines where they don't want to reveal who is responsible for this source of the information. Then when such cases, you need to write some information where proper source is not there. When the information you are taking without any names, you need to write anonymous, ANON, in the year 2020. ANON, ANON in the year 2015, or ANON in the year 1995. This is while quoting the source of the information in the body of the text. Then at the end, without fail, you need to put anonymous. Full word you should put anonymous 1995. What they have said? This is the population of India is so and so. From some of the information. Then from where it is published from one of the magazines, India Today, something like that. Publisher's name you should put. When you open the front cover page, inner side of the front cover page will gives you all the information from where it has been published, who is responsible for this publication, who is responsible in what year, all those things will be there. When such is the case, you need to use the word anonymous. You need to use anonymous. So with this, the review of literature is very, very important. If I touch upon the basic points of the review of literature, without the review of literature, one can never think of proposing any of the research topic. This will serve as the base for a building. This will serve as the base for the building. How many stories you want to build, how many stories you want to construct. So that strong your base should be. So like that, you need to consult all the available literature, and you need to read properly the available literature, and you need to analyze carefully. So by collection, by analyzing the proper literature, it will be easy for any one of us to propose our PhD topic, to propose our research topic, to propose our grant application. So without this review of literature, you can never think of proposing the proper grant application, proper PhD topic, proper research proposal. So for any of these things, either grant application or PhD topic or any of the research aspect, review of literature is very, very essential. If you consult all the available literature. If you analyze them carefully, you will get an idea how they have conducted the research experiments, how they have designed the research experiments, how you can design your own research experiments, how they have interpreted the results and how they have compared the results, how they have discussed the results with available literature. All these things you will get. And once if you get all this information, you can also find out by careful reviewing of the available literature what is reported, what is not reported. What is gap in the literature? What is not reported is a gap. What is gap in the literature? How you can design your own experiments to fill that gap in the literature so that it will become a complete story. It will become a cover story. Mainly to find out the gap in the literature. Then if you do proper reviewing of research and then if you find out the proper gap in the literature, then such grant applications will never be unsuccessful. Such PhD topics will never be unsuccessful. If you thoroughly review all the available literature, if you thoroughly review what is being reported, what is not being reported, then you will get all the information like what is the gap in the literature, first and foremost thing, and how they have conducted the experiments, how they have drawn the conclusions, how they have compared the results, how they have discussed the results with available literature, and how we can do in our own research area, our own research aspect. So this will serve as a strong base of any of these buildings in the form of research review article. So once if you collect all the information for your PhD topic, for your grant application, for your research aspect, once if you collect all the literature and carefully analyze, I will always advocate my PhD students to come out with a review article. So if you write a review article, then you will get an idea what is already being reported with respect to my PhD topic. What is already being reported with respect to my area of research. So what is not being reported also get an idea. So what is being reported and what is not being reported. If you compare this what is being reported and what is not being reported, you will think a strong proposal to fulfill that gap in the literature. So if you collect the literature, if you analyze the literature carefully, you will get an idea of what is not being reported so far, so that I can propose the topic. So if I do not consult the literature, if I simply propose the topic, it may be a duplication, it may be a repetition. So since it should not be a repetition, it should not be a duplication, proper review of literature is very, very essential. If I do proper review of literature, it will be easy, it will be 100% sure, perfect, it is 100% successful grant application, 100% successful research project or PhD topic is 100% successful only if you propose with the proper reviewing of the literature. So if you do not do proper reviewing of literature, it may be sometimes you will not be getting how to conduct the research experiments, how to conduct the field data for arts and humanities, how to conduct the field survey, how to conduct the field survey reports, or how to interpret the field survey results, how to compare the results of my field survey with that of the already available literature. So if you want to know all these things, how to conduct the experiments, how to conduct the field survey, how to conduct our own scientific experiments, it is almost important to get an idea of what is already being reported. By reading the research articles, you will get how to conduct the experiments, how to conduct the field survey, how to interpret the results, how to draw the conclusions, how to discuss the results with available literature, with the other similar reports. So all this information, in addition to all this information, you will also get what is the available gap in the literature. So if you do thorough review of literature, you will fulfill all these necessities, all these needs in the research field. Only after fulfilling all these needs in the research topic, you can think of building a strong proposal. You can think of building a strong grant application, a strong synopsis for the PhD. So with this, I'll stop at this stage. If any of these people who are there in the online, if you have any questions, they can ask me. I will try to answer. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Mrs. Rita Madan.
Okay.
Sir, I have 2-3 questions.
Please.
Yeah. Sir, the first thing is I belong to mathematics department, and
Okay.
if I want to write a paper on literature review, then
Okay.
there are certain definitions or algorithms.
Yes.
So, can we change the language of those algorithms, or we cannot touch the language algorithms to be put as it is?
Actually, algorithms, since you are from mathematical field, you are not supposed to change in any of the original algorithms.
But sir, it won't go in plagiarism then,
You cannot,
because if
no, you cannot change, but you can interpret, since this is the algorithm which is original source is telling, but according to me, if I want to change this algorithm into this form, which is most useful and most appropriate, like that you can, if you have any positive idea of improving that algorithm, you need to originally provide the algorithm definition, then you need to interpret. So this is the original algorithm definition, but it is, since it is, the scope of this application is very, very narrow. But if I put this algorithm into this definition, the application scope will be more. Like that you can always do.
okay, sir. And if you just explain about two authors, if there are two authors, then how should we write the thing in the reference? I
Okay.
haven't understood that. Can you please
Yeah,
repeat it?
I will.
And sir, I have seen in sample papers also, at the name of the authors, some alphabets A and B are written. So, can you please tell what does
Sure.
it mean exactly?
Very good question. Very good question. Actually, when the source of the information is from the two authors you are asking. So, as I
Yes, sir.
said, you are getting the information source from the two authors. In the body of the text, the last part of the first name followed by A and D and the last part of the second name you should put. Then comma you should put and year you should put. That is in the body of the text. Then at the end of the text, while listing the bibliography, you need to use last whatever part of the name which you have used in the body, you should use followed by comma, followed by the initials of the other parts of the first name, I, A, and D, and then last part of the second name, followed by comma, followed by initials of the other parts of the name. Then here, then as usual, title of the paper, then source of the journal, all these things you should write. Then whenever you use at all, say for example, sing et al. If you are using sing et al. Once if you use et al. In the italic form, invariably you should put both full stop and comma. Full stop indicates whatever the thing which is there behind me is in its abbreviated form, not in its full form. Then comma as usual. So if you do not put italics form of et al. And comma followed by full stop, it is as good as non-scientific. It is as good as wrong way of representation. So wherever you use et al, invariably you should put full stop followed by comma. Then only it is the presentation will be normal. So sometimes you may see the author's superscripts will be there. A, B, R, C,
Yeah,
beta, all these things will be there. Say
yeah.
for example, one author is from Mysore, the other author is from Coimbatore. One author is from Delhi, the other author is from Chennai. Or you may be having one author is from India, the other is from USA or Canada or wherever. Mainly to indicate the affiliation of those authors. The first author affiliation is from University of Mysore, Department of Biotechnology, University of Mysore. Whereas second author, Dr. Ponmurugan, is the Department of Botany, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore. Or sometimes some other countries affiliation will be there. Sometimes in the topmost journals like Nature, they put both superscript for first author and the second author, say alpha, alpha, beta, beta, gamma, gamma, like that. That indicates first and second author equally contributed for this work. That is also there. The
Okay.
superscripts alphabets may indicate the affiliations of the authors in the routine fashion. Say 50 different authors will be there, and all those 50 different authors have got their affiliation into different 50 different institutes, either universities. To indicate the author's address, author's affiliation, you should put superscripts alphabets A, B, C, etc. Sometimes same alphabets if you put both author, first author and the second author conducted the experiments equally and contributed for this particular paper equally. To indicate that also people are using some A, B alphabets as superscripts and alpha, beta, gamma, whatever alphabets as superscripts, mainly to indicate author's affiliation and also the contribution of the authors for this paper. I hope it is clear now.
Thank you, sir. Good day, sir.
Thank you. Good day.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, good morning. I'm Shankar speaking.
Yes, sir.
Sir, nice presentation.
Thank you.
Sir, I have a small question.
Yeah.
In reference, while writing references, you have told generally we are writing all this page number, volume number.
Yeah.
Suppose we are already having the DOI. If
Okay.
I write DOI, then what is the necessity of this all details like this?
Actually, sir, DOI, if you write, you need not have to give any of these things, sir. But if you write only DOI, some of the journals won't accept that. No, only of late, when DOI is the digital object identifier number. If you provide the DOI, no need to put any of these things, because if you put the DOI into Google and if you click open, it will directly open that particular paper.
Yes, sir. Yes.
But most of the journals don't accept. Only this format they accept. You need to write author's name.
Thank you, sir.
ಹಲೋ
Yes, sir.
ಹಲೋ ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ತೆ
Namaste.
ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಚ್ ವಿ ಅನಿಲ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಸರ್ ಸೆರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಡಿವಿಎಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್
ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ?
ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗನಲ್ಲಿರೋದು ನಾನು ನೇಟಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಮುರಾಜಪ್ಪ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮುರಾಜಪ್ಪ ಅವ್ರ ಪಿ ಎಚ್
ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್. ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಇದು ಜನರಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಈ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಪೀರ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂಡ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಗೆ API ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ.
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಬಟ್ ಕನ್ನಡನಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರು ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನಾನು ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಈ ತರ ಪೀರ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂಡ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್
ಹೌದು
ಕನ್ನಡ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೂಫ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಸರ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್, DST ಗೆ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಸಬ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ, UGC ಗೆ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಸಬ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ, ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ API calculation,
ಹೌದು,
for science and technology, if you have a research grant of 10 lakhs, you will be given only 2 marks. Say, this is an arbitrary thing I am telling you.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
Science and technology ಅವರಿಗೆ 10 lakhs ಇದ್ರೆ 2 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಹ್ಯುಮ್ಯಾನಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್ 1 lakh ಇದ್ರೆ 10 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ದಟ್ ಪ್ರೊವಿಷನ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮೇಡ್.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ದಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗೆ, ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇವ್ರದೊಂದು ಈಗ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನಾವೊಂದು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ UGC ಕೇರ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವ್ರ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಈ ತರ ಜರ್ನಲ್ಸ್ ಬರೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರೀಗ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಪೇಪರ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ರು ಪೀರಿಯಾಡಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಇಕ್ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸರ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಇಫ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆರ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷಿಂಗ್ ಎನಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಡೈಲಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್, it will be equally important for publishing in the science faculty of 2 impact factor journal. ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ಸರ್ 2 impact factor journal ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ವೇಟೇಜ್ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ವೇಟೇಜ್ ನ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಜಾವಾಣಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಜಾವಾಣಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಲಂ ರೇಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ವಿಜಯವಾಣಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಲಂ ರೇಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನೀವು ಡೈಲಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ we are getting the weightage of scientific journals with impact factor 5, you will get the same thing.
Okay sir.
Science and technology ನಾವು impact factor 5 journal ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ವೇಟೇಜ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ವೇಟೇಜ್ ನ ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹ್ಯುಮ್ಯಾನಿಟೀಸ್ ಅವರು, ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್ ಅವರು ಡೈಲಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ they will get.
ಓಕೆ, ಈಗ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಡೈಲಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ರದ್ದೊಂದು ಲಿಟರರಿ ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಹೊಸತು ಅಂತ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರು ಅದನ್ನ ಅವರ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ ಸರ್?
ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ಬಟ್ ಸರ್ ಒಂದು ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, say when you are submitting any of the proposal for other than Karnataka state government, other than that particular state's government, they normally expect to give a summary in brief, 2-3 sentences in English. ನೀವು ಏನ್ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೋ ತಮಿಳಲ್ಲೋ ತೆಲುಗುದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ, ಅದರ ಸಮ್ಮರಿ ಒಂದು ಬ್ರೀಫ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಂದು 2-3 ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರ. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಇನ್ ಸೇ ಪ್ರಜಾವಾಣಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದೊಂದು ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಜಿಸ್ಟ್, ಒಂದು ಫ್ಯೂ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಕೊಡ್ರಿ ಅಂತ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
So that it will be useful for evaluation in the international level or national level ಅಂತ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್. ಬಂದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ಭೇಟಿ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ.
ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಸರ್.
ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಸೆರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, BOS ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
Okay.
ಮಂಜುನಾಥ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಸಪ್ಪ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಆ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ
ಬಸವೇಶ್ವರ ಮಂಜುನಾಥ್ ಸರ್ ಹೌದು.
ಸರ್ ಎಸ್ ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Yes, sir. ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
So can I ask you one more question?
Please go ahead, madam.
Okay. Sir, as I already told you that I belongs to maths department. So
Yeah.
there was one method
Yeah.
which is used by some other author and it was not applicable for the only number 0. So I
Okay.
just changed it and it was changed by only one step, but later 4-5 steps are similar. Now
Okay.
I made it available for 0 also.
Yeah.
But sir, is it means I have tried to fill the gap, but now I'm feeling, isn't it plagiarism like copy?
No.
Because the 4
No.
steps are similar, but
No.
only the one step I have changed and made it available for 0 also.
No.
So
Let me explain, madam.
yes,
The application part of that particular algorithm is very, very narrow before you change, even if it is 1
Yeah.
step or 0.5 step. Okay, only after adding or subtracting or multiplying or dividing for one particular step, you will see wider application of that when compared to its previous form. Say for
Yes.
example, previously it was applicable to only one number, for example, one integer. When you slightly change that algorithm by one step, the application will be from 1 to 2.
Yes, sir.
And itself is more useful because you are more openness. You are providing applicability.
So I'm not able to hear. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So when you change one particular step,
Yes, sir.
indirectly you are bringing that algorithm into more applicability. Okay.
Yes.
When you have slight increased applicability, do whatever changes you want, but application of that particular thing should be improved. A small increment of improved application is also sufficient for changes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
A small increment of increase in the application is also sufficient for changing any of the algorithm or any of the formula, any of the theorem. But totally you are not supposed to disprove it. That is important.
No, I was just worried when I will put it to check the plagiarism. So there is a little change and most of the things are
Hello,
similar.
sir.
Yes, sir. Hello. If the questions are over, if no more questions are there, I would like to thank profusely the organizers for having provided me the opportunity to speak to all of you. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hello, sir. I have one question, sir. Basic question.
Yeah.
What is the difference between, sir, synopsis and proposal?
Synopsis is just a compressed form of proposal. Synopsis is just like a summary. So normally for the cricket match, you will see highlights, no? Full match,
yes,
sir. Full match you won't see. Highlights is the summary, synopsis. But full match is the complete proposal.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Umesha, sir, for the informative session on literature review. And thank you for being with us and enlighten us with your informative talk, sir. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. You please convey my thanks to all the concerned. Maitri
Sure,
madam,
sir.
Maitri madam, Purnima madam, and others.
Myself, Purnima only, sir. I will convey to others. Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So shall I close now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Participants, one announcement from the organizer side. The next session will be by 12 p.m. Only. as the guest can join by 12 p.m. only, so that you can leave now or wait till 12, and you can join via the same link.
Madam,
Yes, madam.
I'm Nalini. I had
Yes, ma'am.
actually asked for this assignment uploading issue
Okay, ma'am.
already to Dr. Maithili, madam.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm unable to upload it because it says server rejected. Every time when I uploaded, the
Okay, ma'am.
file is only 1.9 MB, and
Okay,
I
ma'am.
have converted all the equations, images, everything into a picture file. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
But then even otherwise it is not getting accepted. So I have sent it to the editor mail ID what you have already given.
Okay, ma'am.
So is there any other action I can do, or can you rectify it for me to upload it?
I'm sure, ma'am. Ma'am, did you get any acknowledgement from the
Editor?
organization team or editor, ma'am?
No, not it.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I will inform and let you know soon, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. So kind of
Okay.
you.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants, next session will be by 12 p.m. only. You can wait till 12, or you can leave and join back using the same link. Next session is on online drawing tools. It will be on 12 p.m. only. So please join using the same link before at least 5 minutes. So we'll be back by 11:55 p.m. AM today.